Hello, and welcome to Lunar Magic Tea Time, where we discuss all things magical, mystical, metaphysical, and sometimes even a little mundane. I'm Kristen, and today is Monday, May 18th, 2020. It's Oracle Monday, which means we're going to have a conversation about sort of the energy surrounding the week using one of my mini Oracle decks. This week, it's Bird Messages by Susie Green. And why I picked this deck this week. My mother passed away in 2017. But before she left, she lived in this little house in her small little town, and her house was in the middle of of town, but the backyard was very sort of secluded, down at the end of an alleyway. No one came down there, just very peaceful and quiet. And she would feed the birds once in the morning and once at night, for 20 plus years. She lived in that house from 88 until 2017, and she would feed the birds every morning and every night. And she kept meticulous records of the birds that she found or that would visit her yard. And she noticed over the course of literally decades that new species that didn't really belong in the area were coming to visit her specifically. So after she passed, one of my most sort of mystical, I guess, experiences was about 2 weeks after she passed. I was standing at the kitchen sink washing dishes, and I heard her voice, loud as could be, clear as could be, "Feed the damn birds." Oh, okay. So I went out and I fed the birds, and I don't feed them as often as she did, but I do try to feed them regularly. And then, a couple of years, no, I don't remember, maybe a year or so ago, I was at Barnes & Noble and just kind of hoping for a sign or a message or something. I was looking for something, and this was there, sitting on an end cap waiting for me, which is definitely in my world one of the signs. One of the signs. Let's just leave it at that. And then this week I've been talking to a very dear friend about the birds in her life. And so it seemed fitting today then to bring birds into the conversation for us here at Lunar Magic Tea Time as kind of a whole. And I do look at us, the people who listen to us, the people who follow us, and around, etc., as part of the group. We are a community, I like to think, and I want us to be that community. So I thought that today would be great to bring in some language of the birds, if you will. Today is the swift. And if you can see, I don't know if we can, but I'll read the text on the bottom of the card. It says, "Stay true to your heart's desire and keep nature in your heart and home." The swift has an advantage of being able to fly over the landscape and get a fuller picture. We don't have that ability. We can use tools like tarot and oracle cards to help give us that fuller picture, certainly. And in this case, the swift is giving us a fuller picture of connection to our environment, keeping nature and in our hearts and homes, keeping nature close as a physical thing, keeping our basic natures true to us, keeping our hearts open to other people's true natures, finding a way to stay connected, and using that way to see a bigger picture. The Swift reminds us that we can kind of surf the winds of change, the currents, the wind currents, we can do those, we can use them to our advantage and still return to our nest. The Swift reminds us we don't need to lose focus when we're looking at the bigger picture too. We can look at the bigger picture. I'm going to pull this up again because I don't want us to lose sight of this card, actually. So let's say, our place here is maybe this little farm, and we can see how it's interconnected. Let's not lose sight of who we are and what our place is. Go out, put your feet on the ground, lift your arms to the sky, feel the breeze. Today it's rainy here and it's lovely. I love the rain. Connections. I feel like even though this card doesn't say connections, I feel like the ability of the Swift to see that broader picture and how, these farmsteads connect and work together in a larger concept. I really feel like the overall message is that connection between our personal nature, the nature of the environment we live in, and nature as a whole, Mother Earth, if you will. So again, connections. There will be a new podcast, I believe, maybe the end of this week, maybe beginning of next week. I get confused on our release schedule because I'm not the person who does that. But let's wrap this up with, you can find us on Facebook. You can join our Facebook group. You can find us at lunarmagicteatime.com. You can email us at lunarmagicteatime.com. We are on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and Podbean. You'll need to use the Lunar Magic Tea Time podcast to find us on those places, but we are there, and we would really love likes, subscriptions, reviews, the whole 9 yards. We want to hear from you. We want your input and we want your questions. As always, we encourage you to keep it nice and keep it kind, both in your comments to us, but also in your comments to others. As always, have a blessed week.